Now let's look at this one. Complete the text with the words below. Okay, complete the text with the words below. So there are two students actually. They are riding their bicycles. No, at the moment they are not riding. They are just pushing their bicycles. Let's see. How do you get to school? Okay, so in this one, couple of texts are given, and we need to fill in the blanks in those texts. Okay, so there's a picture also given. It's about going to school, even though these two kids are not riding their bicycles. I don't know what is there in the text, so let's dive into the text. Okay, let's look at this one. A lift, by bus, school, the bus, work. Okay, these are the words that they have given. Let's look at the first one. Millie, how do I get to space? Okay, that depends. My mom drives to space on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, so she gives me space. On Thursdays and Fridays, I go space. If I miss space, then I have to walk. Okay, let's see. How do I get to, out of the words given, I think the most suitable one is how do I get to, sorry, school. How do I get to school? That depends. My mom drives to, my mom drives to work. No, my mom drives to work on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So she gives me, I think the most suitable phrase is a lift. No, a lift. She gives me a lift. On Thursdays and Fridays, I go by bus. On Thursdays and Fridays, I go by bus. If I miss the bus, if I miss the bus, then I have to walk. If I miss the bus, then I have to walk. Okay, right. How do I get to school? How do I get to school? That depends. That depends. My mom drives to work. My mom drives to work. So you all need to focus on the prepositions as well, which I use. So for an example, here you can see my mom drives to work. Drives to work. Okay, so the preposition that is used is to, drives to work. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Okay, so there also you need to pay attention to the preposition that is used. Okay, so it is on. Why is unused? Because the reason is these are days: Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. All the weekdays we have to use on Monday, on Tuesday, on Friday, likewise on the views. But for the weekend we say at the weekend, at the weekend, at the weekend. For weekend the preposition that we use is at. Okay, so you can see on. My mom drives to work on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, so she gives me a lift. So she gives me a lift. So with the word lift, the word that collocates is give. She gives me a lift. Here another thing is also there. Why have they used the comma here? Why have they used the comma here? Last week also I taught you all regarding the coordinating conjunctions. So you all can see here, my mom drives to work on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So this entire thing is one sentence. Up to here, it is one sentence. Okay. And then, so she gives me a lift. She gives me a lift. That is also another sentence. So we learned last week that if two sentences are connected with a coordinating conjunction, so is a coordinating conjunction, then a comma is required. We learned last week. No, if two independent sentences are connected with a coordinating conjunction, then a comma is required. That's why they have used a comma here. My mom drives to work on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So is a coordinating conjunction. She gives me a lift. So she gives me a lift. On Thursdays and Fridays, okay, again on why days, on Thursdays and Fridays, I go by bus, by bus. So this is also we learn by is the preposition that is used. Why? In general, we are talking about a bus. In general, we are talking about the buses. In that case, you have to say by bus. The other preposition that is used with buses is on. When do you use on? When you say on a bus, on a bus, on the bus, on 176 bus, on Matara Colombo bound bus. Okay, if you are referring to a specific bus, if the words are used like that without the general meaning, then you have to use on. But if it is simply bus, then in that case you have to use by bus, by bus. If it is simply bus, then you have to use by bus because you are talking in general. That's the reason. Okay, so I go by bus. If I miss the bus, why have they used the article the here? Because already they have spoken about the bus. Because of that, you have to use the bus. If you have already spoken about a particular thing, and if you are again mentioning about that, then in that case you have to use the. If I miss the bus, then I have to walk. If I miss the bus, then I have to walk. Okay, students, when you are reading a text, you have to pay attention to the way in which preposition is used. Okay, prepositions are used, so that is very important. That only gives you that deep understanding. Okay, and you will become quite familiar with the usage of prepositions because you are paying attention to the way in which prepositions are used. Okay, so always when you're reading a text, uh, pay attention to prepositions, especially if you are reading a book which is written by a UK author. I prefer if you can read books written by UK authors because their grammar is quite good. Okay, so this is the first one. Let's look at the second one. In the winter, I always take space to school. Okay, it's the best way. It stops in front of my flat. I only have to cross space. I never have to wait long space in the morning. In summer, I sometimes walk or ride my. Okay, let's do this one. In the winter, I always take a tram. Let's use a tram. In the winter, I always take a tram to school. It's the best way. It stops in front of my flat. I only have to cross the road. I never have to wait long for a tram in the morning. In summer, I sometimes walk or ride no, ride my bicycle. If it is ride, definitely we can use the word bicycle. So in the winter, I will always take a tram to school. It's the best way. It stops in front of my flat. I only have to cross the road. I never have to wait long for a tram in the morning. In summer, I sometimes walk or ride my bicycle. Right. I live a long way from the school. So I have to walk to the station and catch what? And catch. I have to. I live a long way from the school, so I have to walk to the station and catch. I have to walk to the station and catch a train. Catch a train. Okay. I live a long way from the school, so I have to walk to the station and catch a train. I buy a ticket. I buy a ticket in September at the start of the school year. I get off the train. Why do we use the? Because we have already spoken about the train. See, a train, we have already spoken about the train. Because of that, when you refer to that for the second time or subsequently when you refer to it, then you have to use the. I get off the train near my school and then go on foot. Go on foot. The journey takes an hour. We have to use go on foot. I can see all of you have written the correct answers. Here and there you will have made, some have made a few mistakes, but this is the way. Okay, so go on foot. The collocation, we know when you say go, it has to be go on foot, and then I go on foot. The journey takes an hour. Okay, so here you can see a train, but when you are referring to the same train again, then you have to use the train. Okay, all right.